More Canadians come to America than tourists from any other country. Last year, Canadians made over 20 million visits to the U.S. and spent more than $20 billion here. But this year, many are not coming to America, as I saw firsthand on a recent trip to Vermont, right near the Canadian border.
Canada and the United States, two countries often described as more like family than neighbors. For decades, millions of Canadians poured across the border every year, filling U.S. highways with cars, small towns with tourists, and American businesses with billions of dollars in revenue. From weekend shopping trips to family ski vacations, Canadians were America's most loyal visitors and customers. But something dramatic has changed. In just a few short years, that bond has started to unravel. And it's not just about politics. Entire border towns that once thrived on Canadian tourism are now nearly empty. Grocery stores in Toronto and Vancouver are quietly removing U.S. products from their shelves. If Canadian tourists turning away from the U.S. was the first blow, the second was even more powerful, and it struck right at the heart of everyday American exports. What began as political frustration quickly transformed into a consumer movement that's sweeping across Canada. In the wake of U.S. tariffs and President Trump's fiery remarks about Canada being treated like a 51st state, surveys revealed something shocking. 71% of Canadians said they plan to buy fewer American products. And unlike many boycotts that fizzle out, this one took root immediately. Walk into grocery stores in Toronto, Vancouver, or Montreal, and you can see the shift with your own eyes. Shelves that once overflowed with U.S. fruits, vegetables, and packaged goods are being cleared out. Instead, Canadian products are front and center, often marked with if food and produce were the first casualties of Canada's quiet economic rebellion, the next target was far more dramatic: alcohol. For decades, American wine, beer, and spirits filled Canadian liquor store shelves. California Cabernets, Kentucky bourbons, and even American craft beers had carved out a loyal market north of the border. But in 2024 and 2025, all of that came crashing down. Earlier this year, multiple Canadian provinces announced something no one expected. They were pulling American alcohol from their shelves entirely. Overnight, some of the most popular imports simply vanished. When Canadian wallets closed, it wasn't just the wineries of California or the farms of Florida that felt the sting. It was small-town America. Along the Vermont-Quebec border, ski resorts once thrived on Canadian families who crossed south for winter getaways. At one mountain resort, management admitted that 30–40% of Canadian groups canceled their bookings. To keep their season alive, staff personally called over 100 Canadian households. The answers they got were chillingly consistent. "We're staying away because of the politics. We don't want to feel like the 51st state." Duty-free shops, usually bustling with Canadians looking for bargains before heading home, are now eerily quiet. One shop owner revealed sales are down nearly 50%, warning that if things don't change soon, decades-old family businesses could close their doors forever. Even breweries along the border are suffering. A simple six-pack of American craft beer that once cost Canadians a reasonable price now comes with a 25% tariff penalty, making it 43% more expensive to bring back across the border. Customers who once happily grabbed a case are now walking away, leaving brewers scrambling. The ripple effect is devastating. Restaurants, motels, gas stations. It started in Canada, but soon others joined in. Across Europe, consumers frustrated with U.S. foreign policy are rejecting American products. A shocking 44% of Europeans now say they're shifting away from U.S. goods no matter what happens with trade negotiations. Even iconic brands are being hit. Tesla's European car sales have plummeted for 5 straight months, dropping almost 28%, not just because of competition, but because of political backlash tied to CEO Elon Musk's outspoken views. McDonald's and Coca-Cola, long considered untouchable, are also seeing consumer pushback. Tourism tells the same story. Hotels in the U.S. are reporting fewer international bookings, as travelers increasingly choose destinations in Europe, Asia, or even Canada instead. For many, visiting America no longer feels welcoming. It feels political. The U.S. once enjoyed a reputation as the world's favorite destination, but in just a few years, that image is fading, replaced by resentment and frustration. Transition. And perhaps the most troubling part of all is that this may not be temporary. Once people change their habits, they rarely go back. Boycotts usually fade. But this one is different. In Canada, the shift has added $10 billion to the local economy as shoppers and businesses replace American goods with Canadian or international alternatives. That's money that may never flow back south. Retailers and consumers alike are building new supply chains, forging new habits, and discovering new loyalties. Once a shopper gets used to French wine, or once a grocer establishes ties with South American produce suppliers, there's little incentive to switch back to the US, even if tariffs disappear. For many Canadians, it's no longer just about economics, it's about pride. Avoiding American products has become a cultural statement, a way of asserting independence in the face of insults. That's not something tariffs or treaties can easily undo. And if America can lose Canada, the ally most intertwined with its culture and economy, then what does that say about its relationships with the rest of the world? What began as frustration with rhetoric has turned into one of the most powerful consumer movements in modern history. Canadians are canceling vacations, boycotting products, and reshaping entire industries. Border towns are suffering. American exporters are losing billions. And the ripple effects are spreading across oceans. The truth is clear. This isn't just a political spat. It's a reordering of economic relationships that once seemed unshakable. So here's the question. If America can lose the trust of its closest neighbors so quickly, who's next? And when the world starts turning away, not just in trade talks but in grocery stores, restaurants, and airports, can the US ever win them back?